by 51 miles. That's the length of Jamaica, 4,411 square miles. If you may, ownership of a piece for those who are outside Jamaica but really want a strong connection to the place they really call home, regardless of what their passport says. Now, as we go through, there'll be topics that we'll be covering that we think that generate the questions that you ask when you think about home ownership, when you think about investment, when you think about acquiring a property, which property to acquire, what investment to make if you want to know, okay, how do I craft a savings plan that puts me in position to acquire property? We are going to touch topics that will give you answers to those questions. At the end of the presentations from our experts, or the cumulative presentations, we're going to open up the floor for you to send your questions in, and we have people here eminently capable of providing those answers. It's not just about providing answers, it's about providing guidance, it's about providing advice, and it's about giving you a flavor of why VM have been around for so long, have been so successful. You know, it's the old adage in business. If you've ever been around for a long time, it's testament to how good you have been, because there's no luck in business. There's only opportunities that you create for yourself, and the VM Group have created several opportunities for themselves over the decades, which is why they are still running strong to this day. So it's to guide you, it's to advise you, it's to take you into the VM family. And I mean, this is business. It's about showing you why VM is the better option, or the best option in a stacked field of entities looking to offer you those solutions. It's about the unique value proposition that the VM Group makes, and how together you can achieve your dreams. Not wild dreams. We don't believe in wild dreams. We believe in realistic dreams. And it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 step to the achievement and the realization of those. So without further ado, let me introduce the panel. We have, of course, the president and the CEO of the VM Group, and he's also the chairman of the preparatory committee for the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference, set for Montego Bay, St. James in June 16 to 19. So there is a committee, of course, that prepares the event. He is the chairman of that, Courtney Campbell.
Thank you very much, George.
Right, and then we have Alice Morgan. She's the CEO of VM Property Services Limited. And a man I've known since my days at university, a very kind chap then. I suggest he would have gotten kinder over the years. Leighton Smith, Vice President, VM Building Society, is responsible for the overseas office and at the University of Technology, where the VM has had a branch, or has a branch. Leighton was responsible for providing jobs to several promising youngsters, and he paid them well. So, you know, I'll always have a soft spot for Leighton Smith. All right, so what will happen today is that, as I told you, we're going to talk about the VM imperative and how that imperative can help you to realize your dreams. We know that there are many pitfalls. We know that many of you are very careful with the money that you've worked so hard to accumulate over time. You are very wary of scams, as you should be, and you want an honest entity, an honest individual on the other end to give you that guidance. Well, the value proposition of VM is all about honesty, which is being honest and upfront in our dealings with another party, and integrity, which means honesty to yourself. The VM Group is built on integrity, and that will come out, we hope, in the few minutes that we're going to spend together to convince you why your investment plans, your investment ambitions are best served on the wings of the VM Group. So I'll get right into it by asking Courtney Campbell to just discuss with us briefly ownership on the rock, the coining of the phrase. What are you intending to communicate by telling members of the diaspora that through the VM Group they can own a piece of the rock?
Well, first of all, George, thanks for being here, and thanks for being our host for this very important
Welcome,
session. I think we couldn't have chosen a better moderator.
You flatter me, sir. Thank you.
But you do agree.
Thank you.
But okay, I think we want to examine that by understanding why it is important to actually own a piece of Iraq, even before we discuss why VM is the right option. Jamaica is known as a place for leisure. Lots of beaches, great spots for entertainment, the sun and the sea, the wonderful climate that we have. But very importantly, we want to point out to people that Jamaica is also a prime location for business and for wealth creation. And the two asset classes that have done the best, performed the best across cultures across geographies,
Yes.
across eras, are real estate and stocks. And most people probably will have a little difficulty, many, understanding which equities to invest in, but certainly most people can relate to investing in real estate,
Yes.
in property.
Yes.
And what better place to own property than Jamaica, where we have a stable financial sector that's well regulated, strong institutions in banking, in the securities industry, in the insurance business, where we have excellent port facilities,
Yes.
both our airports and seaports, our telecoms sector, our telecoms facility are world class. Jamaica is a place for business
Yes.
generally. And of course, investing in real estate is one important aspect of the business opportunities that we have here to present. So we think that, our people who live overseas, the Jamaicans who live overseas, many of them have actually seen these opportunities and seized them. They have invested here with plans to return home eventually. Some don't ever plan to return to Jamaica, but
Yes.
they're investing in Jamaican properties with a view to having them leased or to holiday makers or just for other people for long-term purposes. Even Airbnb, that's a new opportunity for Jamaicans overseas investing in properties. So many of them have, whether they live in the UK, Canada, the States, they have been doing this for years, but many more don't know about the opportunities. They haven't thought about it. And that's what we would wish to do here today, to share that opportunity with them.
Of course, I couldn't ask you to speak without talking about the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference. VM is a legacy partner, not a sponsor. It's a partner because the relationship is far deeper than just simply sponsorship. How have those plans been coming? Only a few weeks to go.
Only a few weeks to go, but we're very pleased about the numbers starting to build now in terms of people who have registered. They've registered online. As you said, it's the 10th conference. We have been doing this since 2004, so it's 20 years since the first conference. And we do it in partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. So it's really hosted by them, but VM Group, the JN Group, and the Grace Kennedy Group have been partnering with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade since the very beginning. We take this very, very seriously. We think the engagement with the diaspora is important for Jamaica's growth and development. The theme for this year's conference is United for Jamaica's transformation.
Yes.
Fostering peace, productivity,
Yes.
and youth empowerment.
Yes.
We are excited about this opportunity to come together because it's the first in-person conference since 2019.
Yes.
You remember we had COVID in 2020. It's the first in-person conference. That's the first thing. Secondly, many of our overseas Jamaicans have been clamoring for us to return to Montego Bay. The last few conferences that we had were based in Kingston. And many people would want to combine the conference participation with a holiday.
Yes.
And what better place than the tourism capital of the Caribbean,
Yes.
Montego Bay. So we're looking forward to hosting our people there. We're looking forward to sharing with them great Jamaican entertainment, the delectable Jamaican cuisine, and offering them opportunities to network with each other with a view to identifying how they can advance their own wealth creation at this conference.
Yeah, well, I expect a strong turnout because there's been a lot of controversy around the diaspora in recent times. Things we won't get into here, but they're saying there's no such thing as bad publicity, and the publicity generated around this biennial Jamaica conference is unprecedented. So I expect big numbers down there at the Montego Bay Convention Center.
You've got that.
Yeah, Alice, let me turn to you because when you say ownership of a piece of the rock, and there are Jamaicans, or there is a Jamaican in the United States, say for instance in Atlanta, and they're thinking, I really want to own something in my homeland. I'm not rich, but there is some capital that I have that I can leverage in that regard. I want someone, some entity to help me to build it up so I can make a good purchase and they hear ownership of the rock through VM. What would you then want them to do? What's the promise on the other end of the tagline, ownership of a piece of the rock?
Thank you, George. On the other end, the promise is that you have a partner that believes in you and believes in Jamaica. We're a homegrown organization, 100% born and bred in Jamaica, and we've spread our wings across the globe. We were actually one of the first companies to do that.
Yes.
So we understand that when you left Jamaica, it wasn't because you wanted to. You left Jamaica so that you could return even better.
Yes.
So you went to transform yourself, and now you're coming back to help to transform your country. So what you have in the VM group is end-to-end expertise, which will start with Leighton and his team at the VM Building Society. And they can help you if you need additional financing, so they can help you to walk you through that process. Because I tell you something, George, real estate is perhaps the single most important financial acquisition or decision that the average person will make throughout their lifetimes. And beyond that, it is usually a one-off transaction. You can't have buyer's remorse with a real estate transaction. You can't return it after. You would have put in a lot of funds. So there are sunken funds that goes into a real estate acquisition. So you want to ensure that you partner with someone that's knowledgeable, that is experienced, and I dare say there's nobody to beat 145 years of experience that we offer for the VM group. So we can give you the knowledge, we can give you the experience, and the trust factor, which I think is perhaps the single most important thing. We do understand that there's a lot of reservation when you are overseas and you're trying to do business. The truth is there's difficulty with doing business even when you are present in Jamaica.
Yes.
We're making improvements and we're making strides. We're not yet there. So that is now enhanced when you are away. You're concerned about times. You're concerned about safety of sending your funds. You're concerned about the professionals that you're going to have to engage throughout the real estate process.
Yes.
We can allay those fears.
Yes.
We can point you to the right professionals. We can give you advice on where to consult to make sure that the persons that you're engaging with, they are regulated,
Yes.
they are experienced, and they're so authorized to dispense the requisite information that you need for the purchase. So you start with the Building Society, you come to VM Property Services, we'll help you in your search. Not everything is going to be displayed on a website about a property. There are some things that you have to go to a realtor to get.
Yes.
You have to get some background information. So we can give you that entire process, holding your hand, walking it through to make sure that at the end of the day, you don't regret the process, you don't have buyer's remorse, and you don't think you made a mistake in purchasing what usually is your dream home.
Let me ask you then, because Alice speaks about VM's reputation, and there's no more valuable asset to an individual or a company than their reputation. How would you and your team leverage this reputation, especially to people who are concerned about whether or not the systems that exist in Jamaica are up to the standards and the professionals administering those systems are up to the standards that they are used to in their adopted homeland? Not hearing Leighton? Are you muted? Hold on. We have to get that sorted out.
All right, so whilst Leighton resolves these technical issues, I can offer some additional insight.
Yes, Alison.
So we usually find that persons will say, why is this taking 6 months? Why is it taking 9 months? You know, here in the States or in Canada, we close in 30 days.
Yes.
This is where we ask for an appreciation of the use of technology and how we are transitioning. So in the States, there's more access to data. There's more use of data-driven information, more analytics that can help to make the process go through quicker.
Right.
in Jamaica, we're still transforming to a digital age. So there's going to be some differences and some delays in the process. In addition, we must also admit that some of our legal systems need reforming. Jamaica is one of those few countries that actually causes you to go to about 4 different government entities to execute a real estate transaction. You know, we're in places like Australia and the States and Canada, you go to a single real estate designated
shop.
ministry and they do everything. So that is some of the things that we're looking at, and I can tell you bodies like the Realtors Association of Jamaica is engaged in the real estate board, and the housing portfolio falls within the Prime Minister's ministry.
Yes.
So we're seeking audience with him, along with the financial institutions, Bankers Association of Jamaica, etc., to say, hey, can we revisit this? Because if we're really serious about pumping into the economy, construction and housing has a multiplier effect.
Yes.
So it does contribute quite a bit to GDP. So we need to effect these changes. So we say to those persons, we're asking for your forbearance. The process is a little lengthier. It's no less robust. It's no less trustworthy or stringent.
Yes.
But there will be a little time difference, but it will go through.
Let me ask Courtney this quickly before I
Yes.
get to the subtopics, because I just want to ask you, as the president, does the fact of VM's indigenous nature, no capital flies from VL outside of the country like other financial institutions, does that matter to Jamaicans to know that they're doing business with a truly, a wholly, solely, as my granny would say, native institution? Does that matter?
We hope it does, and we think it actually does for many. But we would not want, and we think that's of great value.
Yes.
But we would also want them to consider some other things.
Yes.
You know, which we think we have going for us. So there's that, the fact that we're locally owned and controlled by the people.
Yes.
But we would also like them to consider our mission. Our mission from day one, November 14, 1878, has been for the empowerment of the ordinary people of this country. It's about financial inclusion. It's ensuring that the people of this country, regardless of their status, have access to home ownership. And now we're saying innovative investment solutions. And then the third thing that I would say, you know, we'd want to lift up for people is that we are an institution that they can trust.
Yes.
And, you know, we survey that question all the while, and we're always delighted with the responses that they're saying that this VM is a secure, trusted financial partner, because people are quite rightly sensitive about their money and their financial affairs generally. So they would want to ensure that the institution with which they're partnering are people who could be considered experts, reliable, faithful to their mission.
Yeah, I knew there was something special about VM. 1878. Your Manchester United was founded. We're not doing so well right now, but
You're going to bounce back.
We're going to bounce back. From you, the issue of VM's reputation and leveraging that to people skeptical about the quality of the systems they interact with here and the quality of the professionals, because human beings make comparisons and they want to know, if I go to Jamaica or I engage with a Jamaican entity where my real estate business is concerned, will I get the same quality of service as I would here where I live?
Definitely so, and I must agree with both Courtney's and Alison's comments. One of the things that has happened for us is that we at VM have been able to build a brand that members trust, and we take that very seriously. VM was the very first Jamaican financial institution to establish overseas representative offices early on in the United Kingdom. They were known then as service bureaus. And since then, we have expanded our reach to the United States. We have 2 offices, one in Florida, one in New York, and also conduct business development activities in Canada. Now, what that means is that, as you have indicated, our members have become familiar with the technology of their adopted country. So through these offices, it's important that we maintain connections, but also service standards and utilize systems through our digital transformation strategy to ensure that persons are benefiting and experiencing quality products and services.
Hear you on that. Alison, let's do the heavy lifting now, because there's a point here, and it's so fascinatingly put, because Courtney spoke about it in his opening comments about the mystique, the charm, the beauty, the allure of Jamaica. I mean, we're not the pearl of the Caribbean by accident. But the reason people like yourself get paid the big bucks is this: you can tell someone how the charm and beauty and mystique of Jamaica can be used to create wealth for them. So have that conversation with me. Pretend that I'm one of your clients. And I've come to you and said, boy, my home country is so fabulous, it's so fascinating. Olympics coming, we're going to be in the news. There are good things about Jamaica. But how can I create wealth out of this?
Okay, so I'm happy you said that, and you're correct. So dovetailing from what my president said, the two things that have stood the test of time to give you a guaranteed return once you make your selections carefully and you listen to the professionals and the expert is real estate and stocks. Now, for real estate in Jamaica, we have seen unprecedented values, appreciation over the last 20, 30 years. So here in Jamaica, the development that you see taking place in terms of the infrastructure and the roadways and the construction, we have a saying in real estate: wherever roads are built, then development is sure to follow. And you will find that when the government states, for example, that we're going to expand a leg of the highway, within a couple months, the parcels of land surrounding those particular areas would increase in value. A practical example: St. Thomas.
Yes.
Look at what is happening in the East right now. So as a person who's overseas looking to invest, with technology, with the advent of social media, you can stay in Atlanta, you can purchase an Airbnb, do a cottage industry, decide you want to contribute to ecotourism, find something in Portland, have it rented out, you're not here, you can contract someone from the cottage industry to take care of said property. You can monitor it electronically with solutions that the VM Group provides. For example, one of our newer companies, VM Innovations, will be rolling out a solution, a software solution known as Propman Landlord. So you can stay, have your occupants log any issues, pay you electronically. You don't have to see them, automatic keypad entry. I mean, the possibilities are endless, George. If you're not looking at it from a business standpoint and you're looking at it maybe for second or third generation investment for your children who are perhaps born in your adopted country, then you can look to invest if they want to come back, if they want to do agro-farming. There's so many options for real estate. And if you choose it carefully, the guaranteed returns that you're going to get would probably only be outpaced by the stocks that Courtney spoke about. So there are many options. It's for you to reside in, it's for a vacation home, it's to invest in Airbnb, short-term rentals, long-term rentals. And by so doing, whilst you are advancing yourself and your portfolio is expanding and your financial security, you are also directly contributing to the economy of your home country that you love so much. So with real estate purchase, there are lawyers involved. If, for example, if you're purchasing construction, then the construction industry gets involved. The importance of steel, the manufacturers of the cement, then you have the plumbers, the electricians, the workmen on site. The government gets revenue from the taxes. So it has such a large multiplier effect that you can know that you are positively contributing to your country's advancement, to the bottom line, to the GDP, by staying overseas in the diaspora and purchasing in the real estate
from
market.
The apex professionals to the laborers at the foot of the table. All right, there you go.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for that, Alice. I want to turn to you to discuss the value of thinking long-term when saving for ownership. This is something that will keep some people up at night if they have some capital, they're in a foreign country, they don't see the opportunities there to invest, and they're thinking about their homeland. And so I put this to you to discuss.
That's a very good question, because as was mentioned by my colleagues, home ownership is a dream and a desire. And sometimes for some persons, it starts at that particular point in time. However, it should be a well-orchestrated plan from the moment you have the capacity to start thinking about your future, you want to make, as Alison mentioned, this largest asset acquisition possibly only one time in your life. So as part of this orchestrated plan, savings is important. Savings makes all of your plans, and therefore it is important that when you're thinking of the goal of home ownership, it must start with that savings plan. Whether you hold that VM and you're able to put aside that 10 to 15% every month, if you're able to do that, then of course you're going to be able to cover the costs associated with property acquisition. Some of us feel, particularly in the diaspora, is that we'll travel to Jamaica, we'll see these lovely developments, and we say, yes, I want that, and I'm going to get it. And come back, whether it is to the United States, Canada, or the United Kingdom, and then we begin to look up, see how we can shift funds to actually make the deposit. Then you're able to appreciate that once you have the deposit, there are other costs that you didn't necessarily think about. And that's why a savings plan is so critical. Because one of the first things any lender will look at is your ability to pay this mortgage. And therefore, individuals, when they're thinking of wealth creation through property acquisition, they must think and be prepared for all the associated costs. And that is what the team at VM does. We're going to speak with you to provide you with the right map, the right information that is necessary for you to acquire this property. We're into the business of transforming lives, and we appreciate that when someone wants to own that property, wants to say, yes, this is what I've been able to accomplish, then of course it's how we can help them to achieve that. Something that we noticed that happened in the diaspora, George, right after the COVID-19 pandemic, is that there were a lot of persons who never originally thought of going back home, began to think of owning a property in Jamaica. Again, too, because of the whole factor of being able to work from home, work remotely, owning a property back home, an investment option where it is that they can own a property, as Alison and Courtney mentioned, that will provide some income and provide some wealth in terms of building a property portfolio. So one of the things that we never underestimate, and we always tell persons, it is necessary that you begin saving.
Yeah.
And that is why VM is the 24-month saving plan through our iSave product. It's a contractual savings account that allows Jamaicans all over the globe to put aside a monthly amount to ensure that they are able to acquire that property. One cocoa full basket, it will never.
Amen.
There you go. There you go. Alice, let me put this one to
Yeah.
you this way. So, a Jamaican in Canada, let's use Canada this time. I'm in Vancouver, yeah? And I say, well, I have some funds, but they're not so big. And VM sounds like they're only dealing with people who have big money to buy a big property. So you know what? I'm going to take this money I have, I'm going to link my cousin in Jamaica, and I'm going to make him look for something for me and buy it instead of going through VM, because VM only caters to people with big money who buy big property. You'll say what to them?
I would say this adage first. If you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you use an amateur. And the reason why I say that is because we caution persons about that mindset all the time. If it is that you had an illness, George, you're not going to go to the attorney. You're not going to go to a mechanic, right? So if it is that you are looking to acquire real estate, then you need to go to the real estate professionals and the experts. So we caution persons against using non-experts in the acquisition of this once-in-a-lifetime achievement. If you need an agent that you want to appoint through power of attorney or proxy, then that is fine. But that person, cousin, relative, in lieu of the professionals representing you, the realtor, the financial officer, and the attorney to represent your interest.
Yes.
And of course, we definitely have to correct the misnomer about VM only catering for rich persons.
waiting
I
for you
mean,
to
we
get
have
to that,
other
yes.
types of clients apart from the Georges of the world, right? So we have persons, this is where we were founded. We're a
Yes.
humble company, and I can tell you the humility is at the front of everything that we do. We were the only company that went and created a specific mortgage product for self-employed individuals, and where we gave them 100% financing. That spoke volumes. I remember clearly when that was launched, a young lady on Twitter, now X, wrote and said, "I think I'm crying," because nobody before, no financial institution before, thought it fit to address that sector, which is larger than the formerly employed sector in Jamaica. So we have taken an approach, which is why financial education, because we care, has been our tagline, supporting transformation. We need to educate Jamaicans. We know that we're a culture that don't like to read, we don't understand these things, we want somebody to break it down for us. That's what we do. We break it down, we demystify the purchase, we make the jargons understandable. So we don't tell you amortization and breakdown and principal and escrow.
Yeah, annuities, you know.
Yeah, no. We speak to you, we leverage that because we understand what you're trying to achieve. So we're going to emphasize the benefits of the expert. We're going to emphasize how when you plan and you save and you are prepared, you can eliminate totally. For some, you might just minimize, but for a lot of it, you eliminate the discomfort, the surprises of acquiring the real estate. We explain to you from very early why you need to save for your own attorney, why you need to get a valuation on the property,
Yes.
why you need to get a surveyor's ID. Persons don't understand. And a lot of Jamaicans will say, I buy the property, my cousin tell me he's a good person, I'm going to send the money straight to them. This is where, again, we're going to caution you to make sure that before you part with your hard-earned money, which can be very difficult to recoup,
Yes.
make sure that you assess the situation properly, make sure that you're guided properly, make sure the team that is standing behind you firmly is representing you, and that's what we
Served over time. There is more than ample evidence that VM is not for the so-called big, deep-pocketed, rich individual. It's for everybody, and you're here to help those who have the ambition.
Education. Sometimes we don't even know the extent of the audiences that are reached with that, but we invest in it nevertheless.
Yes.
So it starts with the financial education. Then to the savings, because, you know, that's what Leighton spoke about earlier, the installment savings building up to this major objective that most people have. And then even before you find the property to provide the mortgage, we are helping you with realtor services
Yes.
through VM Property Services to find the property. We're also helping you with the valuation services to ensure that, you know, you have identified the right price, that the price being requested is a reasonable one.
Yes.
So all of those services are provided by VM even before we get to the mortgage application.
Yes.
Right? And then at the mortgage application, we have experts helping you through that. And we provide, too, as part of our package, general insurance coverage from BCIC, that's an associate company of VM. So the care that we offer is very practical care, starting from education right through to all the services that are required to ensure that you're making the right decision for yourself and for your family and for the future generations. Because this is about generational wealth creation.
Yes. VM Group is giving that John Holt kind of feel, giving you that love you can feel. Let me crack on. I wonder...
George, I just want to add,
Yes,
the
Leighton.
president said something that is very key, and Alison said it as well, and I want to, reiterate it. Purchasing that property that is right for you. That's important. Based on the question that you asked, you give your cousin this money, and the cousin say, yes, I'm going to purchase this property. It's not what the cousin likes. It is not based on the cousin's preference. It is based on your preference, your hard-earned money that you're working in foreign land, in the snow, in the heat.
Indeed.
It is important then that you get the expert advice. And what we're saying to you is that at VM, we offer that.
Hear you on that. I never really it never got home to me before the point when I was in Chicago in February, minus 18 degrees Celsius.
And windy.
And I'm like, so when people work so hard in these conditions and somebody in Jamaica beg them something and they give them $100 and say, it's only $100 you give me. Do you know what it is to go to work in those conditions? Yeah, so
Why don't you know it?
you have to keep your money safe. All right, Alison, I think your name is beside this one. I did a raffle when you weren't looking, and your name has come up for this. The considerations when looking to invest in home or property ownership in Jamaica. Those.
So the considerations are many. So firstly, we'll start with what Leighton says. It's about your preference and what you're aiming for. So there is never any one-size-fits-all solution. So we need to first have a conversation with you, determine the reason why you're investing. Are you looking to come back home? Are you purchasing for rental, whether long-term, short-term? Are you looking to purchase property for a business? Because you can also do commercial investments. So we need to speak to you to align on those things. Most persons actually are looking for residential properties and not commercial properties. So if you're residential, then we're going to speak about the financial aspect of it.
Yes.
How much you can put into the property, how much financing you need. We're going to look on the other aspects that are important to you. Do you want to be near the beach or you want to be far from the beach? Do you want to be near a town or you want to have land space where you can, maybe raise livestock? A lot of persons have a dream that would have manifested prior to their departure from Jamaica. They went and they acquired the capital and they are coming back now and they want to see that materialize. So we really have to have a conversation with you. I tell you something that a lot of persons find funny, George. When they come to us and they say they want, to acquire real estate and they show you 10 properties that they would have seen on VMPS's website, and we say to them, let's put this aside a little. They look at me like I've grown horns. And I said, the last thing you do is look for the property.
Yes.
And they go, Miss Morgan, you're mad. And I said, no, you're going to listen. There's a reason why I've been doing this so many years. So we need to sort out your financial situation. We need to make sure that your credit is okay. If you need to do any repairs, we need to let you understand the different elements that is involved and at what stage you will need to come up with the different funds. We need to say to you how you validate the professionals that you're going to use. We need to introduce to you to the regulatory bodies, the General Legal Counsel, the Institute of Quantity Surveyors, if you're going to build, etc. We need to make you understand the process at the Parish Council for approval. So we give you all of that, George, and then we search.
All right, Alice, let me interrupt you a little bit there because we want to make this very interactive. And we have a question from Leroy from Atlanta. He says, I have a little savings tucked away and I'm considering purchasing a small apartment in Kingston as an investment and income earner. I hear there is a construction boom in Kingston and perhaps a glut on the market. Do you suggest I still pursue this investment? That's one question. The other one, where do I start? Well, it's another question. And how can VM help me? 3 questions there from Leroy from Atlanta.
Hi, Leroy. Thank you for tuning in, first of all. Lovely to have you. So you are correct. There is a construction boom, not just in Kingston, in Jamaica generally. And, you can go on our website and you can look at the properties that are being offered. And I'll say this to you in regard to the glut. If there was not a demand, there would not be the properties being built. We're a free market economy that we're controlled by demand and supply. And yes, while there is an abundance of it, there is a market for the take-up. A lot of persons like yourself who are outside of Jamaica are purchasing real estate. We're actually seeing where the data suggests now that a lot of investment properties are being purchased by non-Jamaicans, and they're not even second and third generation Jamaicans. They are persons who just fell in love with the country and they're trying to come here. So yes, there is a supply, and I think it is something that is wise to invest in. I mean, by land, they're not building it anymore. Pretty soon we're going to not have enough space to do any more construction. And where you can start is by sending us a DM with your information, Leroy, your contact number, and one of our reputable officers will reach out to you for us to definitely have this conversation. And I know Leighton will definitely want to reach out to you because we are looking strongly at doing business development in the Atlanta area because we know where we have the caucuses of the Jamaicans, and we have a lot of them there in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I like how that sounds.
I think the only thing I would add to that, what Alice
So just
said.
to add to that,
Hold on, Leighton. Hold on, Leighton.
No, allow him.
Yeah.
No, hold on. We'll take President Courtney first, then we'll take Leighton, then we'll go to a comment on YouTube. So hold on, Leighton. Go on.
Yes,
go ahead.
I'm just going to add to what Alison said that to encourage people to pay attention to the subsectors that
Yes.
they're interested in.
Yes.
So, you know, there's real estate, but there are individual real estate units, one-bedroom apartments,
Yes.
townhouses, single-family dwelling houses, bungalows, etc. So the demand and supply equations differ
Yes.
Yes.
for each of those.
Excellent point.
And I think you would want to have the benefit of the experts
Yes.
guide you through, you know, what's at play in each of these subsectors.
Leighton, the floor is yours, my friend.
Agree. That was the point. It's important to get the experts. In addition to that, Alison mentioned that we have contacts. We have a team member that is based in Atlanta, Kadeen Smith Gardner. So if he DMs us, we'll have Kadeen reach out to him. And again, the comfort of Atlanta, we're covering and ensuring that our customers are members of Info.
Yes.
Excellent. I hope Leroy is still listening. So the instruction is send VM a DM and, you know, take it from there. Courtney Mullings on YouTube. Does VM serve as the single point of contact to interface and to navigate across the various entities involved in property acquisition? Excellent question. And how is VM compensated? Who wants? Which one of our stars wants to take those questions?
I'll take it. Thank you.
Alison.
Thank you, Courtney. So VM serves as half of the point of contact. So your attorney, who will be representing you throughout the process and guiding you, representing your interest, will be the other person to guide on the legal matters. So we are half of the team that would represent you in this acquisition. And then whichever attorney you select, of course, we're going to guide you and say, you make sure that the person is registered
Yes.
and etc. Fine. The second,
How is
sorry.
VM compensated?
Right,
The
how is
second part.
VM compensated? So in two ways. VM property services would be compensated when we locate the property for you through real estate commission, which you don't pay, Courtney. That is paid by the vendor
Yes.
who's selling the property. And then when you get the mortgage from VM Building Society, it is the interest that you would pay on the loan. So that's how we're compensated. There are no hidden fees at all, I promise you. And that is a discussion that we pride ourselves on having up front, where we sit and go through all the fees and charges that you can expect. There's no jack in the box at the end saying,
Yes.
hey, you need to give us another $2 million.
Yes.
No, right.
Excellent,
Very
excellent.
authentic and
Can
transparent.
I also add to that, please?
Yeah, yes, Leighton, go ahead.
The buying and selling of property is in accordance with the prescribed rules by the laws of the land.
Yes.
So one of the things that I often reiterate is that there is no shortcut, there is no quick fix, there are no friends that can just do things, because what happens is that very often, and I think Alison mentioned this earlier, that when you're purchasing thousands of miles away, sometimes you may want to go to a relative, or you may want to go to a friend who can, as it were, fast track things. But that doesn't happen. And therefore, it is important that you use the services of your legal representative and use them well. And here's a caution. Time is money. When you get these legal documents, please act on them immediately. It's your money that is going down the drain if you do not act within time. Mindful.
Yes.
In every language, in every culture, time is money. Was there another question I saw from Rice and Peas on YouTube? Why do Jamaican banks, the question says, not seem to offer fixed interest rates, only variable interest rates? Is one question. The second question, is it because of legislation? Who's taking that?
I'll take that.
All right, Courtney.
That has to do with the fact that our interest rate environment has been, I would say, a little volatile, has a history of volatility over the past couple of decades. I think the fixed interest rate products will eventually emerge. It's not a legislative issue.
Yes.
Right? So the banks are free to set the interest rates in a way that makes sense for them. But I think to protect the interest spreads, to ensure that we are viable in our operations, we have not found it prudent at this point to offer fixed interest rates. But we think that as the interest rate environment stabilizes as we look to the future, that's a product that we can expect.
Yeah, and the part...
Probably not immediately, because remember, we're coming off a high interest rate environment now.
Yeah.
You certainly would not want to be locked into a fixed interest rates where the interest rates are right now.
Yeah.
But it's something that, as interest rates lower in the future, I'm thinking that institutions will consider that.
Excellent. Let's keep the interaction going, because Troy Beichu on YouTube says, I just purchased 7.8 acres in Belle Plains in Clarendon. I want to do a strata development. Can VM help?
So well, firstly, congratulations, Troy,
Yes,
on the
yes.
purchasing of so much property. And I'm happy personally to see that it is in another parish.
Yeah, man.
You
Not
know,
in Kingston.
I said Catherine.
And the best parish in the country.
You would say so, sir.
Right. So, Troy, the short answer is we can have a discussion. Strata development is a very detailed venture. Strata usually means you have to get approval, real estate board. There's an entire legislation around that. You have to be registered as a developer. The property would not have to have any liens on there. The title has to be free and clear. You have to work out if you're going to take escrow to the development. So it's a conversation that we'd have to have with you, Troy. So again, if you could just send our team a DM with your contact information, and the team from VMBS can reach out to you to discuss it.
All right.
Yes.
Do we have any more on tap? All right, we're going to wait. Troy Beichu on YouTube with that question. All right, let's do another one of these topics that we had set up based on what we think the conversation pieces would have been.
I think they say that another one is coming up, George.
Yeah, man, I'm going to delay for that.
Okay.
Courtney Quarry. So we've had 3 Courtneys. This is the 3rd Courtney online so far. I guess today's International Courtney Day. Nobody told me.
Well, we're just 4 days away from that. So.
Does VM still offer property management services, i.e., that is, collection of rent from tenants on behalf of property owners living outside Jamaica? This answer dovetails with the app that you previewed earlier. But
yes.
Go ahead and answer
Correct.
the question.
Thank you. So you see, you could work here.
May I listen?
Yeah. Thank you, Courtney, for your question. So we do not offer individual property management services presently, but we do commercial property management, and we do management of strata. However, what we have in lieu of that is a software that you could implement at your property, coupled with the technology that I referenced earlier, that you can use to manage your tenants who are occupying your space. So that as well, we'd be happy to share more information with you once you provide us your contact details.
All right, so Courtney, hope that was clear and helpful. And of course, if you want to get between the lines of what Alison just said, feel free to contact VM, and all the questions will be answered. Just contact VM, yeah, and it can be worked out. All right. So the issue of, and here's the one, I was saving this one for this point of the discussion. Because sometimes people are not quite sure what they want to do. They want to say, all right, I'm going to buy something in Jamaica. They have a discussion with their family about it, and the big son who just left university says, Mom, why don't you take the money and build something in Jamaica? Pivoting from what Courtney just said about Belle Plains and Clarendon. And she says, build, going through all of those hoops, jumping through those hoops. So she values his counsel, and she's saying, buy property or build property. Who can help me to navigate what is going to be an awesome decision? The input of VM in that consideration would be what?
So the input, again, would be a personal one, and we're here to guide you, to give you the pros and cons of both options. If you have a concept in your head and you want to build your forever home, it is highly unlikely you're going to be able to find something that would satisfy that. So if you prefer to build, then by all means build. And we do offer construction loans through VM Building Society. The conversation will be a little different because we want you to be prepared to understand the nuances of construction, that's a global thing, because you have to think about supply chain issues, you're dealing with workman, contractor, but it can be done, and it is something that people do every single day. We're going to have conversations with you, for example, like, will you have a representative here to oversee the property? We want to make sure that you engage a professional contractor, somebody who has insurance, so there's no liability for you. We want to make sure that when you are doing the drawings, the plan, you get a professional architect and not a
Yes.
draftsman, so that they forgot that, you needed to put some electrical things here, etc. So you can get full plans that when you submit to the municipalities of the respective parishes, they're not bounced. We also want you to understand that you only have a certain window after which you get these approvals, that you need to break ground or you have to resubmit your plans. So we will take you through the discussion. If you want to do construction, then construction it is. We're going to guide you so you can adjust your expectations. We can be realistic in approaching this venture, and you can understand that, hey, you might have to put a little bit more for the construction because you first have to put your input, your cash input, and then the mortgage will come in. And if you want to buy and you decide, okay, I'm not too particular, I prefer to buy because I want the benefit of a gated community,
Yes.
I want a townhouse because I don't want to do the maintenance myself, then we will guide you on that discussion. The point is, George, VM cannot prescribe what is best for you.
Yes.
What we can do is tell you that once we have educated you through our experience and the knowledge base that we have, and you've made your decision, then we're with you.
Yeah, and Leighton,
Yeah.
in your travels and your interactions, imagine yourself being asked to advise, to guide on where in Jamaica, outside of Kingston and St. Andrew, would be somewhere to buy or build property. The people are saying, well, forget the corporate area, Leighton. I want to go somewhere that is on the come up, somewhere where there's a boom that is about to go boom, 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 boom. What would you advise them? Where would you send them?
Boy, George, it comes back to identifying the property that is ideal for you. One of the things that I've appreciated and realized with the Diaspora is that there are a lot of persons who have and hold on to the affinity of what they had in the past, meaning the district that they came from, the warmth Jamaican sunshine, the community setting and living. And very often you find that they want just that, and they're going to go back to their communities. Now, it is important that such individuals think of location, location, location. Cannot stress that. Why? Because you have to think of going back to the purpose you're going for this property. Is it going to be for investment? Is it going to be for retirement? Is it going to be for a vacation home? That will determine, again, too, how close it's going to be to the amenities that are needed. So for example, if you're retiring and you're going back home, how close are you going to be to the amenities and services that you need? For example, how close is it to a hospital? How close is it to the utilities? Is there enough utilities or services that are there?
Yes.
Accessible roads, water, all these things. So what happens is that there are quite a few up-and-coming locations. Alice mentioned earlier St. Thomas. When you look at that now, it's booming. But what we tend to find with persons in the diaspora is that they want to go back to the parish of their birth. And funny enough, I'll put this one in. A lot of persons in the UK speak from Clarendon, because when I came here, everybody was like, I'm from Clarendon. I'm like, okay.
The Clarendonians out.
But something important as well, George, we have to speak about it, is when it comes to building on your own property, building on your own land, you will ultimately get what you want. But as Alison indicated, it's an involved process. And you need to know from the get-go what it is that you want. A lot of persons will say, it's far cheaper for me to build rather than buy. But again, Alison highlighted that there's some nuances. And one of the biggest nuances we will see is just this example that we'll highlight. So when you're getting the costing done to build the property, we're going to say, okay, I want this kind of tile. And when we do the costing of the tile and it's too much, you say, no, I don't want that anymore. Put something cheaper. And then ultimately when it's been built and you're putting down the tile, you don't remember that you select that cost you $400 or $500. You go into the store and you want a tile that costs 1,000 and something per tile.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a problem now because you're going to spend more
That was,
than you have budgeted for.
Yes.
So
yes.
you have to be careful when it comes to these things. And again, too, when it comes to family land,
I was going to come to that. I was going
is
to
there a
come to
title?
that. Yeah, I was going to come to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't stop playing
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
let me bring it on the set here because this is something, and you know why? I mean, I'm a newsman, so you know how I think. I was startled last year when the commanding officer for St. Anne revealed that a lot of the problems in St. Anne concerned inter-family disputes over property. So the father did left a piece of land with 4 houses. Alison got 1 house, Courtney got 1 house, and Leighton said, but wait, how Alison house bigger than mine when I meet older than Alison, and problems.
Disputes.
Or people having just land and wanting to build and engaging services, and then the entity goes there, and then problems because the other siblings are against it. How do you reconcile and wade through those issues when somebody comes to you and wants your engagement to develop on family-owned land?
So before I give you that response, I want our president to speak about an initiative that is dear to our heart that we have partnered with through the VM Foundation.
All right.
So tell him about that
Well, yeah,
initiative.
that-
An International Courtney
Yes.
Day, why not?
I think Alison is speaking about the land titling initiative
Yes.
that with which we are partnering with the National Land Agency.
Yes.
Basically, the VM Foundation has committed $30 million to pay the surveyors' fees for families who are living on properties now for probably decades through several generations, but these properties are not registered.
Yes.
Right.
So they don't have certificates of title for them. And so they're facing hindrances. Typically, the people just can't afford to pay the surveyor's fees and attorney's fees and so on.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you have to say it the right way, Sir Courtney. It's not survey, severe.
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 The land.
Severe the
Severe
land.
the land. Yes, there you
Severe
go.
the land.
Let's call it that. So, right. So they just haven't been able to afford that.
Yes.
And we are saying that we wish you to be in a position to unlock the value
Yes.
that's in these properties. VM will pay the surveyor's fees for you.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
And we have committed 30 million to do that. We believe it will impact over 400 families.
Wow.
According to the average cost of
Commendable.
building.
Commendable.
Yeah.
So I had to just put that
Yes,
in there.
for sure.
So we do get a lot of this situation, George, because, as I said, historically, Jamaicans aren't, very big on procedures and regulations and documents. You actually have more unregistered land in Jamaica than you have registered land. And the NLA puts out this data all the time and tells you, outside of the lands being unregistered, you could have clear ownership of the lands, but then you have what is known as common law titles, so they're not recorded in the book of titles. We would say to persons, firstly, if it is that you find yourself in this situation, all is not lost. There are options that you can go to the National Land Agency, or you can get an attorney to do it on your behalf, where you can take measures to get a parcel of land registered and come into the official fold to have a registered title, given to you.
Right.
They would do the interviews, they would speak to the community members, you can submit the application, you can get the surveyor, the surveyor's report done, but it all is not lost.
Yes.
Outside of that, we also say to persons when we go out and do our financial education campaign, whilst you are alive, whilst the matriarch or the patriarch or the person who has the right, the ownership to the property, take steps when they're here so that we can regulate and get the process done. And it goes further. Even when you do have registered property, it is important for you to do estate planning.
Yes.
So getting the property is one. You want to make sure you do proper estate planning. And this is important even from the acquisition stage of registering, whether you're buying it new and it has a title or you're registering a new. When you choose things like your tenancy, so this is why you need the expert, so you can understand the benefit of choosing a joint tenants or a tenancy in common, how you can protect and safeguard it to make sure that it goes down to your intended recipients long after you have passed. So it's an entire discussion, George, and it is unique to each person and their circumstances. And that's why you need us.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
that's why you need the expert
Exactly.
guidance. we're almost, we've almost run the race. So I just need to talk now, just need to ask you, Leighton, about managing expectations when you talk about the diaspora process versus purchasing at home. Just before you get there, though, Leighton,
No,
We
we
answered that already.
answered
Right,
that
yes.
already.
we covered that already. All right. So, Leighton, right. So, the diaspora process versus purchasing at home, talking about the issue of managing those expectations of people. And at the end, I want to ask something very, very simple, but that's very important. Before you go, I was waiting for this one, Leighton. Chantel Hernandez, all right? Let's work with that. She asks, I'm assuming it's a she, what percentage of the purchase cost is necessary for a down payment of residential land versus purchasing a home? That's one question. Also, does VM assist with info on zoning, like using land for both residential and commerce, right? Does our credit score in the US affect our eligibility to purchase property in Jamaica as a Jamaican citizen? And she has in brackets for those with great credit and those with poor credit overseas. This is a fantastic piece of the proceedings. Love these questions.
Yes.
So who's taking which part?
I'll start.
So let me go with the
Okay.
LTV.
Yes, go ahead, Leighton.
Okay. So usually we tell persons that they would need to budget at least between, say, 15 to 25% to purchase their property. This would include, of course, the deposit and also the closing costs. Now, individuals can see the importance of saving because the vendor very often will determine what or the percentage of the deposit. Usually, that will fall between 10 to 15%. And then, of course, there are the closing costs that are associated with that, the property purchase, that is. So you have the valuation fees, the legal fees, the registration fees. All these things are percentages of the value of the property and or the loan amount. And therefore, what we say to individuals, budget between 15 to 25%, or at least up to 25% of the purchase price. And that is why savings is important.
Let me see the question
That's
again. Excellent.
from no.
Excellent, Leighton. That's the
That's
first
the
part
first
of the
one.
question, right? So that, okay. Does VM assist with info on zoning, like using
Yes.
land for both residential and commerce? Alison.
Yes, so we assist with this information through the provision of a valuation report. So when you request a valuation report from us, it's not just the value that you're getting. There's an entire gamut of information that we give you. So we give you information on zoning. We would log into the different government databases. So we look at the development orders. We have to study all of them. We give you information on the density per square foot if you're looking to the commercial. So you get everything on the property taxes. We give you information on the gentrification of the location. We give you on the construction material. So you get zoning and more if you request a valuation report from us. So we do provide that information.
Who's tackling the credit
Yes.
score question?
I can respond.
All
to
right,
that.
Alison.
I will. I will.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Leighton. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what happens from the diaspora perspective, we do use the overseas credit score report. So there are two main ones, experience and equivalence. And the person score are expected to fall within the fair category. Now here's what is important. Remember, we spoke of financial well-being. We spoke of financial literacy. If your credit score is not where it's supposed to be, still speak with us.
Yes.
Why? Because we will give you tips as to how it is that you will improve your score through improving your payment habits, ensuring that you repay the collection accounts and other outstanding debts. We give you strategies as to how you can reduce your overall debt, the importance of avoiding new or unnecessary credit, and how it is that you need to go through that sometimes and correct errors that you may not necessarily have noticed. And sometimes too, some of us will take home even telephone plans, electric plans for relatives, stop all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Leighton, through you, Chair.
Yes, Courtney.
That in the first question, Leighton, I think Chantal wanted to also know whether there is a distinction between the deposit required
Yes.
for land only
Yes.
versus buying a completed property.
Yes.
So I think you probably want to
Yes.
speak to that. Yeah.
Thank you, Courtney. So the deposit for as we said, it's usually 10 to 15%. For land, we say that you would to deposit up to 20%.
All right. Let's keep the questions going.
We will lend you 80% of the value.
We have, well, we've gone past our time, but we're having so much fun. I think we can go for another 5 more minutes. Let's see how many questions we can squeeze in that time. Ron T on YouTube says, are the requirements for a mortgage the same for international investors as it is for local investors?
Leighton, take that.
Leighton, that one is you. That
respond.
one is you, Leighton.
Right, okay.
Go ahead, Alison.
So there are some documents that are similar, but because you're in a foreign country, the credit report, for example, is one of the documents that would differ.
Okay.
So we'd ask you for that. And in Jamaica, where we really don't ask for things like your tax return, because we don't practice filing,
Yes.
we would ask you for that when you're overseas. So if you're over there, we're going to ask you for a W-2. If you're in the US, if you're self-employed, we're going to ask you for a 1099. So there is a difference. There are some standard application documents, irrespective of your geographical location.
Yes.
But then your country of residence will determine the additional things that we ask you for.
All right. Anything
And,
to add there,
and,
Leighton?
and then the other
And
issue.
additional to that,
Sorry, the other thing to consider is whether the property will be owner occupied or not.
Yes, or
Because
not.
typically we have a
Right.
lower loan to value ratio for properties that are just investment properties.
Correct.
So,
Clear
yeah.
on that. Anything to
Yes.
add to that, Leighton? Or
correct.
that's the point you're
and,
going to make?
and in addition to that, I was going to make that point. Thank
Yeah.
you, Courtney. And also depends on whether you're self-employed or you are
Salaried.
or you are employed, because that will determine as well the documentation that we require.
All right. Vaughnette Tomlinson says, she's on our YouTube platform. I would like to know if you have a home that is paid off and would like to take the equity from that home to purchase a condo. How do you go about it?
Nice. The first thing we need to do is to understand the value of the home that you have paid off to see
Yes.
if there's enough in there that we can access. So you'd first request a valuation report, Vanet, from VM Property Services. And once we complete the valuation report, you will then present that to Leighton and his team at the Building Society, and they will be able to assess how much equity is in the property and how much of that equity they can lend you. And then once you determine that amount and he does the pre-qualification,
Yes.
then you'd come back to Property Services and we'd find the condo for you.
All right. See, my friend Silver, my friend Silver and
So
CDL.
something else though,
Yeah.
Yes, Leighton.
just to add to that, what you want to do as well is to look at where these properties are located, because while it is good that you want to take the equity, it depends on which one is of a greater value. And again, when you sit and talk to Alison, then you'll get the gist of what I'm saying there.
Very well. Silburn CDL TV show YouTube. Hello, Silburn. Good to have you here. He says, I was asked recently, what is your advice to persons who've had raw deals with attorneys? Does VM have a database of recommended attorneys?
So our advice would be, and I would have emphasized this several times throughout the discussion today.
Yes.
We make sure that you use professionals that are regulated. So for all my clients, I say once you have an attorney, the first thing you need to do is to go on the General Legal Counsel's website
Yes.
and make sure that you check to see that this person is registered. If you wish, you can also call the GLC
Yes.
and they can give you feedback on this. VM itself does not, for conflict of interest, we
Yes.
do not have a panel of attorneys that we would recommend to you.
Right.
That is your own choosing, naturally, because we want to make sure that you understand that there's no collusion.
Yes.
And you choose your attorney after discussion and you're satisfied that this person can represent you. The most that we'll probably say to you, make sure you choose an attorney that has a practice in conveyancing. So you wouldn't want to use an attorney who is not trained in real estate and conveyancing to represent your interests.
Right. So Silburn
Yes.
CDL TV, just go
Yeah.
to Google, you type in
GLC,
General Legal
Legal
Counsel
Counsel.
Jamaica, and
Yes.
let me tell you, the website is stunningly up to date.
Yes.
And every attorney
Yeah.
that is authorized to be practicing in Jamaica in the current year,
Yes.
they are there, their number is there. So it's not wrong, it's very up to date. So you can check to see. The attorney can't fool you on that one. Because if they're not on the GLC website, you need to take your business elsewhere. Josie Carr on YouTube, or Josie Kerr, if you may. Are there any opportunities for a non-Jamaican to get a mortgage from VMBS to purchase a property? Is the question.
Definitely so.
Yes.
Definitely. That's the easiest answer, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Do it a
that's-
lot.
yes,
You can visit
yes.
any of our representative offices,
Yes.
either in the United Kingdom, the United States, and as we indicated earlier, there are going to be certain requirements, and depending upon the purpose of that property will determine how much we will lend.
All right, so my producers are walking around behind the camera. They want me to get out of here. I think we can wrap now with this. It's the easiest question. Well, you know what, Janet, they've squeezed your question in. I'm obliged to read it. If I have an existing property that needs repair and or possibly expanding, I'm fearful of construction and direction to go about this venture. Can VM assist with this? How common is this? People don't know, fearful of the processes and everything, and she wants to know if VM can assist in this regard.
Short answer, yes, George, we can assist in this regard. And there's less risk, Janet, for construction where we're adding on the Jamaican terminology, as opposed to taking it, greenfield straight from ground.
Yes.
So there's a lot less risk in this one. It's easier to control. It's less expensive. And in fact, if you're usually adding on less than 10% of the existing square foot of the property, you might not need parish council approval.
Yes.
So there goes one headache. So we can have a conversation, Janet.
Yeah, funny how people
Yes.
in one respect say, I'm expanding my house. Jamaicans say, yeah, me add on.
Well, so remember when I said we don't use the terminology that you can't understand?
There you go, yeah.
So we make sure that we break it down for you.
We'd say we're adding on.
Yes.
Add on. Yeah? All right, so here's the thing. It's about contact. So for all the people who've heard us today, and all the people who they'll tell about what has been said here today, and all the people who will read about what happened here today, how can they reach us? And it may seem like, oh, it's so simple, but it's not, because a lot of businesses lose customers because numbers and contact information listed, especially on their website. You call till Jesus come back, nobody answers. You email, and it's almost as if you email the universe, and the universe is not ready for answer yet because there are so many emails to answer. How do the people who've been our audience and who will be our audience, how can they reach the right people to have the discussions that can help them to own a piece of the rock?
So the first thing would be to go to our... Okay. Go ahead, Leighton, because I would want them to reach Leighton.
Yes, go ahead, Leighton.
Go ahead, Leighton.
Floor is yours.
Okay, so the first thing that they will need to do is that they will contact any of the representative offices.
Yes.
As I made mention, we have offices in the United Kingdom, the United States, that is Florida and New York, and we also have a representative that sits in Atlanta. They can contact our Member Engagement Center, which is our main point of contact for those in the diaspora. You can contact from the UK using 0800 068 8627, or they can dial toll free from the United States and Canada by dialing 1-866 967 8627. Again, too, there is our website at myvmgroup.com. They can email us at manager@myvmgroup.com. They can go online at mymortgageonline.myvmgroup.com to actually complete and have pre-qualifications done. And if they want to open an account, then they can go at onboarding.myvmgroup.com.
Yes.
Very well.
That's
Very
even
well.
from now.
Very well. The VM group is not one of those entities that has website with broken links and that is redirecting you all over the place.
No.
So you go, you interact, and you
Yes.
find a portal
Yes.
to connect with someone. There's a form in the comment section. I'm being told to remind you, you can utilize that form. And I'm encouraging you to utilize that form to send your questions and to seek any clarification here and to find better particulars as to how you can get a human being at the end of your phone call to help you to realize your dreams. I want to thank you, Leighton. Wherever you are in the world, my friend, I hear you're at the International Space Station. Good to speak with you from there. I want to thank you, President Courtney, on International Courtney Day. I didn't know, man.
Yeah, we know.
If you told me, I would have worn a better suit. Thank you.
But thank you for being here. Just before you,
yeah.
after you thank Alison,
Yes.
I just want to remind people about the conference. But go ahead.
But of
Alison.
course,
Yes.
because that, but I couldn't come to your house and not give you the last word, sir.
Yes.
I was grown well by my granny, you know. And so thank you very much for
You're
being
welcome,
a repository
George.
of information. I'm listening to her speak and I'm saying, Alison has a future in broadcasting, you know. But maybe if I recommend her to my boss, she may take my job. So nope. There you go.
Scratch that idea.
I'm not leaving Courtney, sorry.
You have a big assignment coming up, the 10th Biennial Jamaica Conference. VM Legacy Partners. You are the chairman of the committee charged with preparing the ground, making the ground fertile for a successful conference. The last word is yours about that event and, of course, about the company you lead.
So all of the people listening, you've heard about VM and how we can help you to achieve your financial goals. We are committed in our property services business, in the building society, through our overseas offices, through our wealth management business, our pension business. We are committed to empowering you to achieve financial well-being, starting with the financial education right through to all the solutions that we offer. Even our remittance business gets involved in that because over 30% of the remittances coming in through VM money transfer are ending up now in a savings account.
Excellent.
Our remittance customers are taught, are encouraged to save and not spend all the cash that they receive. So that's a big difference that we are bringing to the marketplace. I'm very proud of the work being done by people like Alison and Leighton and their teams in empowering our people to achieve this financial well-being. We take it very seriously. We are committed to this mission. With respect to the Diaspora Conference, it's the 16th to the 19th of June, 2024, this year. It's a few weeks from now. It's at the Montego Bay Convention Center. We have a rich agenda that has been designed for our diasporans. The Eventbrite website is where you should go to register. That's Eventbrite, EVENTBRITE. And they insert information such as Jamaica Diaspora Conference, and you will be able to, you'll be taken to the website where you can register. The registration numbers are now building. We are aiming to have 1,000 participants from the diaspora. We have an agenda that's focused on the theme, which is peace, productivity, and youth empowerment. With respect to the productivity aspect, for example, we have lots of rich information on how to invest in Jamaica. How, various investment opportunities. JAMPRO is our lead business facilitation partner. The Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill, will be there. The JAMPRO president, Mrs. Shalette Cox, and her team will be there. They'll be sharing information on logistics, and on agriculture, and the global services sector, the global digital services sector. They'll be having key presentations, providing lots of information, but also smaller networking events. That's just one example. In terms of peace and citizen security, the Minister of National Security will be there, but also we'll have a special session with the new police commissioner, Dr. Kevin Blake. And of course, back to the investments, lots of investment opportunities in agriculture. Mr. Floyd.
Mr. Floyd Green.
Floyd Green will be there. We'll have information on how to create wealth through real estate, how to create wealth in the tourism sector. Because we're saying to the people in the diaspora that, yes, it's good, please continue to send remittances, please continue to save and invest in real estate in Jamaica. But there are opportunities here to expand your business by partnering with Jamaicans to expand the business that you may have overseas. Or you may have the opportunity to actually establish your own business here. Lots of rich opportunities, and we wish our diasporans to take part in it.
Excellent.
We have another focus on youth empowerment regarding, how do we take advantage of the digital age to advance the education of our young people here so that we're well equipped for the future. So I'm very excited about the program, all the items listed on the agenda, the speakers that have been identified to share rich information with us. We just need for our people to register and be here, so let's have a great time together.
Yeah, let's try to crash the registration site now. Flood it, give it a lot of work to do. Register and secure yourself a presence at the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference. Well, this has been very interesting and engaging. We certainly felt the engagement on the set here. We hope you did, wherever you are watching us at the Diaspora Dialogues VM group. We are not just doing this one, it's a series, and one doesn't make a series. We all know that. So, of course, there are more to come. And I should be here to assist you in learning about how VM Group can help you to create wealth, how VM Group can help you to own a piece of the rock, and then to leverage that piece of the rock to the benefit of not just yourself, but for your family over generations to come. That's my time. Good day.